Welcome to Father Matt's Bible Studies and Sermons videos and podcast. In today's Bible study, we study the Pentateuch, beginning with Genesis and continuing with Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. God bless you and hope you enjoy the Bible study. Let us pray. Almighty God, we ask your blessing today on our Bible study as we continue to read through the book of Exodus. We also ask your blessing on the Salvatore family today for the funeral. All this we ask through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
All right, we're going to jump right in where we left off last week because we were all here. So, okay. Can you see?
Yeah, but it's
You need to pinch it out. We
yeah,
can't word.
What does that mean?
it's a straight across line.
Straight
It says
across
pinch
white
out for-
line with a lot of selection.
We can just see the heading.
Right across white line.
Just like the heading where you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. How's that?
Uh-huh.
All right.
there we go.
Now we got it.
I don't know what it was sharing before, but it was not sharing the right thing. Okay, we are reading about the creation of the things in the tabernacle and the tabernacle itself. As a reminder, isn't this neat? A Lego tabernacle. Somebody did this with Legos. Like, I have to say, this is the best one that I've seen. So
Now
I
know
don't
what
know
we're
if they
getting
did
you
the
for Christmas.
interior as well, but that's pretty wild. So everybody's into this. Let's see. There's one with a model of the priest inside. You can sort of see the menorah from right here, the table with the bread of the presence, right? And it has the poles in it.
I like the upholstered pew things on the side for the tabernacle in those days. And
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. That seems unlikely, actually.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's well, when you actually like read the Bible, it's certain. Well, it's fascinating what people put in their own time, right? Like somebody's put in modern pews, which is kind of interesting. Let's see. Here's the interior. Again, there's a ton of. Ooh, I don't know what that was. There's a ton of this stuff. Can't get to it.
Go.
On the online. Some is better than others. It's not a great one. Just go back. Tabernacle Bible. Yeah, if you just look around, you'll find a fair amount. Here's one. Let's see if it's bigger. Not really.
There you go.
But there's the ark, if you remember. The curtain. Remember, the whole thing is built, and then curtains are, and then sort of tents are put over it, skins, and then there's curtains that separate the Holy of Holies and the sort of main area. And again, you can see most people have a lot of these things in the same places. And so this is the table with the bread, and this is the menorah. This is probably going to be the altar of incense that we haven't read yet. Yeah. So, and there's the Ark of the Covenant. Anyway, let's jump in. Let's see. Patrice, can you read this part that's the tabernacle?
The tabernacle itself you shall make with 10 curtains of fine twisted linen and blue, purple, and crimson yarns. You shall make them with cherubim skillfully worked into them. The length of each curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. All the curtains shall be of the same size. 5 curtains shall be joined to one another, and the other 5 curtains shall be joined to one another. You shall make loops of blue on the edge of the outermost curtain in the first set, and likewise you shall make loops on the edge of the outermost curtain on the second set. You shall make 50 loops on the one curtain, and you shall make 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that is in the second set. The loops shall be opposite one another. You shall make 50 clasps of gold, and join the curtains to one another with the clasps, so that the tabernacle may be one whole. Keep going.
Yeah.
You shall also make curtains of goat's hair for a tent over the tabernacle. You shall make 11 curtains. The length of each curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the width of each curtain 4 cubits. The 11 curtains shall be of the same size. You shall join 5 curtains by themselves and 6 curtains by themselves, and the 6th curtain you shall double over at the front of the tent. You shall make 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that is outermost in one set, and 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that is outermost in the second set.
Keep going.
You shall make 50 clasps of bronze and put the clasps into the loops and join the tent together so that it may be one whole. The part that remains of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the back of the tabernacle. The cubit on one side and the cubit on the other side of what remains in the length of the curtains of the tent shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle, on this side and that side, to cover it. You shall make for the tent a covering of tanned ram skins and an outer covering of fine leather.
Great. Okay. So did we see this last week or not? Or did we
No,
the
no.
fine leather? I thought
No.
we did, but let me
We
just
didn't
go
get
back
to
up to
26.
Yeah, but let me
We
check.
were
talked
talking
about dolphin.
We were
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah, so that was in verse 5. Yeah, so that was what you got, right? So if you go back, if you remember, we started with all the gifts, right? So now we're beginning to use them, right? We've used some of the gold and that sort of thing. Now we're getting all these curtains. And what Patrice just read is essentially, let's see if we can get a high quality image. More size, large. Let's see what we do. Perhaps this one. Open image in new tab. Voila. Okay. So what you just read was this whole thing. I don't know if you can see, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the different, right? You see there's a tent. And so if you look at there's the veil, but
there's different layers.
yeah, there's different layers, right? And so if you go back to the text, right? So you've got these 10 curtains. So they make these curtains and basically they're one thing. And at the end of it, and they get looped together with these, with the, I don't know if I can see them in here, but you can actually see sort of like the pieces, right? So they get looped together with this, with the loops and the brass hooks and whatever it is, right? Actually, it tells you right there. That's kind of helpful, right? 26, 1 to 14. These are the layers, okay? So that's exactly what Patrice just read. And this last little bit of fine leather, that's where all of this up to through verse 13 is the blue one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And then and I think it's the blue one. And then there may be another one right on top of it. But then the last two are the red one, and the outer one is the fine leather, which is the ram skin. So what we talked about last week a little bit is one of the translations for this is dolphin skin or porpoise skin or something like that, which seems unlikely. And my Hebrew is not good enough to recall exactly the argument why. But fine leather is the more modern translation right now. So that's where the scholars are, for what that's worth, and they really don't know what it means. So it's leather of some sort of animal, of something, but probably in the wilderness, even if they're on the coast, it's probably unlikely that it's dolphin skin. That just seems a little odd. But all right. Any questions on that? The little drawing helps, I think, to kind of visualize it. And again, it doesn't have to look like this, but they're doing a decent job of the difference between the curtains hanging down. Right? Do you see how these hang down versus these are sort of pitched like a tent? All right. Okay. James, can you do the framework?
The framework. You shall make upright frames of acacia wood for the tabernacle. 10 cubits shall be the length of a frame, and a cubit and a half the width of each frame. There shall be 2 pegs in each frame to fit the frames together. You shall make these for all the frames of the tabernacle. You shall make the frames for the tabernacle 20 frames for the south side, and you shall make 40 bases of silver under the 20 frames, 2 bases under the first frame for its 2 pegs, and 2 bases under the next frame for its 2 pegs, and for the second size of the tabernacle on the north side, 20 frames. And there are 40 bases of silver, 2 bases under the first frame and 2 bases under the next frame. And for the rear of the tabernacle westward, you shall make 6 frames. You shall make 2 frames for corners of the tabernacle in the rear. They shall be separate beneath, but joined at the top at the first ring. It shall be the same with both of them. They shall form 2 corners. And so there shall be 8 frames with their bases of silver, 16 bases, 2 bases under the first frame, and 2 bases under the next frame.
Keep going.
Oh, you shall make bars of acacia wood, 5 for the frames of one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the frames of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the frames of the side of the tabernacle at the rear westward. The middle bar, halfway up the frame, shall pass through from end to end. You shall overlay the frames with gold, and shall make their rings of gold to hold the bars, and you shall overlay the bars with gold. Then you shall erect the tabernacle according to the plan for it that you were shown on the mountain.
All right, this is the second time we've gotten something like this, which is kind of funny, right? So, like, here's how you build it, mostly. And then, oh, by the way it's put together is a plan that you were shown on the mountain that we don't get. Right?
Right.
If we go back to our little drawing, they've decided to erect it however they feel like, right? But there's your frame. You can see it, right? Those are the wood pieces that are around the edge. So that's the frame, and I would add that it's made up of nice wood, and it's made up of gold, and there's gold, rings, and there's also parts of it are gold bars and what have you. It's heavy if it's wood and gold for what that's worth. The bases are silver, so it's got the same types of metals that are throughout the entire thing, and my understanding is generally as it goes higher, the metal gets nicer. Like the bases are silver and the bars in the middle are gold, right? That sort of thing. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, we are literally building a tent, right? Like that's, but again, this was last chapter. You'll make them according to the pattern for them, which is being shown you on the mountain. That keeps coming up. That's the last thing that James just read as well. Erect the tabernacle according to the plan that you were shown on the mountain. These are the plans that we don't have, right? So Moses has some vision on the mountain about what it's supposed to look like, and then he writes down how to build it. But the actual plan we don't have, which is why it's and that's intentional. That's so that we can't build it ourselves, I think. So, JD, can you read the curtain?
Sure. You shall make a curtain of blue, purple, and crimson yarns and of fine twisted linen. It shall be made with cherubim skillfully worked into it. You shall hang it on 4 pillars of acacia overlaid with gold, which have hooks of gold and rest on 4 bases of silver. You shall hang the curtain under the clasps and bring the ark of the covenant in there within the curtain, and the curtain shall separate for you the holy place from the most holy place. You shall put the cover on the ark of the covenant in the most holy place. You shall set the table outside the curtain and the lampstand on the south side of the tabernacle opposite the table, and you shall put the table on the north side. You shall make a screen for the entrance of the tent of blue, purple, and crimson yarns and of fine twisted linen embroidered with needlework. You shall make for the screen 5 pillars of acacia and overlay them with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, and you shall cast 5 bases of bronze for them.
All right. That was so. That's the curtain. That's kind of obvious too. I think our net, our net, what our picture here. So 31 to 37. Let's see if they have it listed here. Anybody see it? 36 to 33. There was the veil, right?
A bottom right.
And here's the veil, right? So you've got 2 curtains, essentially, is
30,
what's right.
yeah,
So somewhere in here is 30.
that's 36 to 37
Yeah,
is the big
yeah.
ones.
And over here is the other one.
31 to 33, right.
Yeah, I don't see 36 to 34 to and 35. Let's see what those were. 34 and 35. Oh, you just put it on. You put the cover on the Ark of the Covenant in the most holy place. You set the table on outside the curtain, the lampstand. So this is where you put things, right? So you put the cover on. These are sort of out of place, which is kind of interesting, right? But this is
Oh,
where you
right.
put the stuff. So what the idea is? Here's the holy place. Here's the other stuff, right? That was what that separating thing was talking about. So the holy place is the most holy place, and then the other area is just the on the outside. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. Um, uh, okay. Let's see. Let's keep going. Patrice, can you read the altar of burnt offering?
You shall make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. The altar shall be square, and it shall be 3 cubits high. You shall make horns for it on its 4 corners. Its horns shall be of one piece with it, and you shall overlay it with bronze. You shall make pots for its ashes, and shovels and basins and forks and fire pans. You shall make all its utensils of bronze. You shall also make for it a grating, a network of bronze, and on the net you shall make 4 bronze rings at its 4 corners. You shall set it under the ledge of the altar, so that the net shall extend halfway down the altar. You shall make poles for the altar, poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with bronze. The poles shall be put through the rings, so that the poles shall be on the 2 sides of the altar when it is carried. You shall make it hollow with boards. They shall be made just as you were shown on the mountain.
Okay. Same thing. This is chapter 27. Let's see if they mention that in here. That's probably this thing.
Hmm.
So let's double check. And tabernacle, altar, was it burnt offering?
Yes?
Yeah.
Is that what you were reading? Well, there's a good picture of it. Where did it say to put it?
Um,
Did it say?
It didn't say there.
no.
Okay,
Was it before?
I think it's put.
Before they said,
It
no,
said it was what I read, wasn't it?
south and the north. They haven't said to put that on east or west yet.
No, that hasn't been
No,
put
you're
in
right.
there yet. So the way this doesn't have a place yet, right?
Yeah.
So, but what it looks like essentially, according to this, is it's the same thing. It can be moved around, right? Like it's got a grate. It's where you cook the animals. That's the idea. Okay, it's burnt offering. That's what that is. And here's the action version of it. And if you looked at what size it was, did it say how big it was?
3, but yeah,
3
it's
cubits high. So this is probably a little high, but not too high, right? It's probably a little big, but that's the idea. Is you can fit a whole animal on there. There you go.
each.
So different, and you've got the hooks on it, right? So there's another one, right? There's a lamb on it. So you got the hooks. You can carry it around. That was the idea. And again, we get this. Make it just as you were shown on the mountain, right? So you get this again, like there you go. So okay. Who's up? James, can you read the court and its hangings? You're muted.
You shall make the court of the tabernacle. On the south side, the court shall have hangings of fine twisted linen, 100 cubits long for that side. Its 20 pillars and their 20 bases shall be of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be of silver. Likewise, for its length on the north side, there shall be hangings 100 cubits long, their pillars 20, and their bases 20 of bronze. But the hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be of silver. For the width of the court on the west side, there shall be 50 cubits of hangings with 10 pillars and 10 bases. The width of the court on the front to the east shall be 50 cubits. There shall be 15 cubits of hangings on one side with 3 pillars and 3 bases. There shall be 15 cubits of hangings on the other side with 3 pillars and 3 bases. For the gate of the court, there shall be a screen 20 cubits long of blue, purple, and crimson yarns and of fine twisted linen embroidered with needlework. It shall have 4 pillars and with them 4 bases. All the pillars around the court shall be banded with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver and their bases of bronze. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, the width 50, and the height 5 cubits, with hangings of 5 twisted linen and bases of bronze. All the utensils of the tabernacle for every use, and all the pegs of the court shall be of bronze.
All right. So this is the outer area. So we could probably just Google that. Court and hangings. Let's see if that works. There you go. Isn't the internet wonderful? Right? So this gives you a decent sense of let's use this one, of what it basically would have looked like. There's your burnt offering, right?
Okay.
And let's see. Let's open in new tab. Boink. Okay. And actually, you can see that the tents are around it, right? Which is very helpful. So there's the tabernacle. It's closed off. Here's the outer court, right? You see the pillars that James was just reading about. All the pegs everywhere were bronze. The little caps things on top were silver. There's the main entrance, right, which was designed slightly differently. And there's the burnt offering that Patrice read about. These guys have wood. They have a little animal there. We haven't read about this. This is going to be the bronze sea or bronze brazier, where they washed, right? And we haven't gotten a couple of other things yet, but I think that's helpful to see it. All right. Let's keep going. The lamp. So we've gotten the lamp, right? We have the lampstand, but we didn't get the oil for the lamp. I'll read it because it's short. You shall further command the Israelites to bring you pure oil of beaten olives for the light, so that a lamp may be set up to burn continually. In the tent of meeting, outside the curtain that is before the covenant, Aaron and his sons shall tend it from evening to morning before the Lord. It shall be a perpetual ordinance to be observed throughout their generations by the Israelites. So the idea is, I think, that is lit continually by the priests. And only the high priest gets to go in here. So
I didn't realize that olive oil could even burn like that.
I guess it can.
Figured it could smoke if you
Yeah.
lit it on fire. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
don't know. I would guess that there's a lot of different types of olive oil, and you can make some that burn.
I wouldn't think there'd be a lot of olive trees out there in the desert, though, but okay.
Well, there's a lot of olive trees in Israel, so there's a lot of olive trees probably all over the place. But
All right.
Yeah. For what it's worth, if you remember the Christmas narrative, and the part that we don't always read, which is the early part of St. Luke where the birth of John the Baptist happens. You've got Zechariah who has a vision while he's serving in this. And so that's one of the things that occasionally, like Isaiah, and you'll see some of the prophets will have visions of the Lord. And it's usually when they're serving in this and the vision happens while they're basically probably keeping the flame lit and that sort of thing. So in any event, it's got to be lit all the time. Okay. Vestments for the priesthood. Patrice, can you read the first two here? Vestments and ephod.
Then bring near to you your brother Aaron and his sons with him from among the Israelites to serve me as priests. Aaron and Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. You shall make sacred vestments for the glorious adornment of your brother Aaron. And you shall speak to all who are skillful, whom I have endowed with skill, so that they make Aaron's vestments to consecrate him for my priesthood. These are the vestments that they shall make: a breastpiece, an ephod, a robe, a checkered tunic, a turban, and a sash. When they make these sacred vestments for your brother Aaron and his sons to serve me as priests, they shall use gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarns and fine linen.
Keep going. Yep.
They shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen, skillfully worked. It shall have 2 shoulder pieces attached to its 2 edges, so that it may be joined together. The decorated band on it shall be of the same workmanship and materials, of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen. You shall take 2 onyx stones and engrave them on them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on the one stone, and the names of the remaining 6 on the other stone, in the order of their birth. As a gem cutter engraves signets, so you shall engrave the 2 stones with the names of the sons of Israel. You shall mount them in settings of gold filigree. You shall set the 2 stones on the shoulder pieces on the ephod as stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord on his 2 shoulders for remembrance. You shall make settings of gold filigree and 2 chains of pure gold, twisted like cords, and you shall attach the corded chains to the settings.
Okay, so let's look up what an ephod is and
Yep.
see if anybody has
How
any
big
idea.
how big are these onyx stones that are on their shoulders?
So this is probably pretty good here, actually. Let's see. Let's see if there's a bigger one. Where is it? Well, okay. We're gonna see some of this stuff in a second, but let's see. Open a new tab. Can't really see it. It's too hard to read. I can't read it very well, at least. Let's see. That's fairly readable. How about that? One of these. There we go. This is kind of useful. Let's do this one. New tab. It's going to get more complex as we move along. So we're in chapter 28, and you just read 1 through 14, right?
Yeah.
So we haven't gotten the miter. We haven't gotten a lot of this stuff yet. But we have we haven't gotten the Urim and Thummim yet either. But we've gotten
Ephod.
ephod. Yeah, let's look up what an ephod is. I can't remember what an ephod is. What is an ephod? What is an ephod? It's a garment crafted of linen. It features shoulder pieces. So essentially what's going on here is the priests I think the big picture here is helpful. The priests have, and we'll read through all of this, but the priests' garments take up chapter 28 and they come back in a little bit in 29, but they take up chapter 28 here, and it's plunked into the whole tabernacle description, and we haven't finished the whole tabernacle description, but now we've got the priests, and they have a variety of different vestments, which are described at least in terms of the metals and the colors that make them up. What's interesting is it's not really described what the purpose of some of these things is, nor is it described exactly what it was supposed to look like. So this is, again, somebody's guess, and if you look at this one, it's kind of different, right? You see
This one has crosses on it. That's interesting.
crosses on it. Yeah, but that's probably because that person put crosses on it.
Right,
Like,
right,
right, like that's probably because the artist was like, oh, I think I'll put crosses on.
right.
Like, that's the sort of thing that can be, right, if you go, I'm sure somebody has a Lego version of this too, but if you go on, like, they're all kind of different, right?
They're-
They don't really know what the hat looked like. They don't really know what
Go to the one right below it. There are 8 pieces. Turban, crown, ephod, breast. Go to the left. There
This
are
one?
8. No,
Oh,
8.
this.
Yeah, that one. Ooh, that one. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah. Pants, like, the whole thing is here. We're going to get the whole description. My point is, just because this person decided to put crosses on it, I would be really wary of that. Like, that's
Between Jesus' clothing when he accomplishes great priestly work and the garments of the high priest.
yeah, it's so clergy
Yeah, you know,
so they wore these vestments. Why? Because you essentially, the priests were dressed up to, it's a symbol of their office. It's not all that different from modern priests in some sense. It's a symbol of their office, and everything has, some sort of symbol or purpose one way or the other. A lot of that has been lost, but essentially you would dress up in really fancy things that were passed on from generation to generation to go in to minister in the tabernacle. That's essentially what it is. And this, you can't really see the Urim and Thummim on this version, but you can on this guy's, right? That, and you certainly can right here, which is that these were the breastplate, and on the breastplate were different stones and that sort of thing, and you can actually see them pretty well. This is a probably better one too, right? So again, they don't really know what it looked like, right? This guy has more like an apron setup, right?
mhm.
And kind of the point is they don't really know what it looked like. But as we go through, what they did, the Urim and the Thummim, which we haven't gotten to, is they would go in, and the Urim and Thummim is some kind of thing, they don't exactly know what it is, that you would essentially make a decision by. So you'd go into the tabernacle dressed as the priest, and we read this earlier in Exodus, when giant decisions need to be made, what do we do? Do we go to war or do we not? You cast the Urim and Thummim, and what comes up is what you do, because the priest has cast it in the presence of the Lord. And originally it would have been Moses or Aaron or somebody like that, or Aaron actually. Moses wouldn't have dressed like this. This is for when decisions need to be made when Moses is gone, because Moses has the direct connection. But once Moses is gone, how do they make decisions? And they make them in the tabernacle in front of the
So are
Lord.
they supposed to be talking to God when they go in there?
I don't. We'll see how that works. We have to see how that works, right?
Right.
But the idea is that the decision is made in the presence of God by using the vestments that the priest has, and that's essentially what they think it was. All right, let's keep going. We got enough time to finish the chapter. The breastplate. JD, can you read that?
Sure. You shall make a breastplate of judgment in skilled work. You shall make it in the style of the ephod of gold. You shall make it in the style of the ephod of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yards, and of fine twisted linen you shall make it. It shall be square and doubled, in a span in length and a span in width. You shall set it 4 rows of stones, a row of carnelian, chrysolite, and emerald shall be the first row. The second row, a turquoise, a sapphire, and a moonstone. And the third row, a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold filigree. There shall be 12 stones with names corresponding to the names of the sons of Israel. They shall be like signets, each engraved with its name for the 12 tribes. You shall make for the breastplate chains of pure gold, twisted like cords, and you shall make for the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and put the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the breastplate piece. You shall put the 2 cords of gold in the 2 rings at the edges of the breastpiece. The 2 ends of the 2 cords you shall attach to the 2 settings, and so attach it in front of the shoulder pieces of the ephod. You shall make 2 rings of gold and put them at the 2 ends of the breastpiece on its inside edge next to the ephod. You shall make 2 rings of gold and attach them in front to the lower part of the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod, at its joining above the decorated band of the ephod. The breastpiece shall be bound by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue cord, so that it may lie on the decorated band of the ephod, and so that the breastpiece shall not come loose from the ephod. So Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel in the breastpiece of judgment on his heart when he goes into the holy place, for a continual remembrance before the Lord. In the breastpiece of judgment you shall put the Urim and Thummim, and you shall be on Aaron's heart when he goes in before the Lord. Thus Aaron shall bear the judgment of the Israelites on his heart before the Lord continually.
Okay, great. So
Like IKEA instructions.
so it's how to build a vestment, and again, it's like you have to keep you set up the house. This is where the Lord is in the inner room, and you have to keep it lit, and you have to keep food there, and occasionally you do and every day actually you do sacrifices, and that's also food. So you keep God there and fed and happy and all this stuff. And when you need to make a decision, the priest goes in addition to ministering, and this whole business of bearing the judgment of Israel on his heart with the Urim and Thummim, and we can Google that and see if anybody thinks they know what that looks like. I'd be stunned if somebody really does. Yeah, so they're black and white, this and that, right? They don't really know, but it's the idea is it's a decision-making thing, right? And this breastplate has things for each tribe. So presumably it would involve like taking the breastplate off or touching the breastplate or something and casting these things and seeing what happened. That's kind of the idea. Does anybody know exactly what happened and how that worked? No, but you
What,
can
like
see
rolling the dice and see what happens?
kind of, yeah. Yeah. We get
Wow.
that in Acts. In Acts, they pick one of the apostles by drawing lots, right? So, yeah, that's
It's
is
the
it
8 ball. You're looking at the 8 ball. What should I
it's
do?
is it well, it's not all that different from at the end of the day, it's not all that different from like the Oracle of Delphi, right? Where you'd go in and you'd ask the oracle, and the priest, I think it was a priestess at Delphi, would make a decision, and I think there they assumed that that decision was basically some sort of drug was taken or they cast lots or something. And when you get into some of the other laws, we've actually already seen this, where you get into witches and that sort of thing must be killed. It's because they're doing a similar thing, right? We do this way. We make our decisions this way, and this is how it's done. This is very much old time religion, for what that's worth, right? And it's the level of importance of it I think is indicated by the fact that chapter after chapter after chapter details how this was built, and we will see later again that it is built and that it was carried around, and then they built a temple, and they kept doing a lot of these things, or all of them, all the way up until the temple was destroyed. And what's really interesting is that was long enough ago, and all of the specifics of it were only controlled by basically the priest, the priests and the high priest, that they don't even know what half this stuff looked like anymore. So it's kind of interesting in that sense. All right, let's finish this chapter off. James. All right. James is out. Patrice, do you want to finish the chapter off with other priestly vestments?
Come on, you betcha. All right. You shall make the robe of the ephod all of blue. It shall have an opening for the head in the middle of it, with a woven binding around its edge, like the opening in a garment, so that it may not be torn. On its lower hem you shall make pomegranates of blue, purple, and crimson yarns all around the lower hem, with bells of gold between them all around. A golden bell and a pomegranate alternating all around the lower hem of the robe. Aaron shall wear it when he ministers, and its sound shall be heard when he goes into the holy place before the Lord, and when he comes out, so that he may not die. You shall make a rosette of pure gold and engrave on it, like the engraving of a signet, holy to the Lord. You shall fasten it on the turban with a blue cord. It shall be on the front of the turban. It shall be on Aaron's forehead, and Aaron shall take on himself any guilt incurred in the holy offerings that the Israelites consecrate as their sacred donations. It shall always be on his forehead, in order that they may find favor before the Lord. You shall make the checkered tunic of fine linen, and you shall make a turban of fine linen, and you shall make a sash embroidered with needlework. For Aaron's son you shall make tunics and sashes and headdresses. You shall make them for their glorious adornment. You shall put them on your brother Aaron and on his sons with him, and shall anoint them and ordain them and consecrate them, so that they may serve me as priests. You shall make for them linen undergarments to cover their naked flesh. They shall reach from the hips to the thighs. They shall be worn by Aaron and his sons when they go into the tent of meeting, or when they come near the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they do not bring guilt on themselves and die. This shall be a perpetual ordinance for him and for his descendants after him.
Okay.
How come you don't wear bells so we can hear you coming?
So that's a good question. So, and note the bells were so that Aaron doesn't die. Did you catch that?
Yes.
So why does Aaron wear bells? Well, so let's see if one of these images has, that does have bells. There was one where they were all hanging out. Okay. So I think part of the issue here, so there's our priest, right?
Yeah.
So, and these are the Levites, I think, that are, anyway, anybody that goes in, I believe, anybody that goes in here is supposed to be dressed in all the full vestments, right? And if you go into the Holy of Holies, I think that's when you're talking about slightly different things. But the bells are probably so that, why do you have bells on? It's dangerous to go in to meet God, and so this gives God advance warning that you're coming in. Again, like, this is probably not how we think of God, but we also probably don't think of God living in a tent and eating food and needing light and that sort of thing. But it's not all that different than some of the imagery that we've gotten, earlier, where God was walking in the garden, right? Or where God was, closed up the ark, or this or that, right? So there's, or where God or the angels visits Abraham, or where Moses has just met God, right? Like, so there's this, and they're looking at God's feet, right? So there's a sense that, it's dangerous to be with God. You've got to please. All the nicest stuff are what you do to make sure that God is comfortable, and that all your best things are there because you're entertaining the deity and that sort of thing. If you remember from Revelation, from when we read that, like a lot of these jewels and things, right, showed up when we were reading about Revelation in terms of when they saw the new temple and all this stuff, and it was all these same jewels, right? Onyx and chrysolite and beryl and what have you. And we saw a little bit of that earlier when Moses was on the mountain, and they sort of saw the outer court. So essentially, what they're trying to do is create an earthly place where God is comfortable, which mirrors the heavenly court, and God comes down and is there and stays with them. And again, there are other gods, right? This is Yahweh that is with them. And what's different is Yahweh, most gods stay in one place, and you can only visit them by going to their place. Yahweh moves around, which is really actually quite different. That's a very different concept. It's not monotheism at this point, but it is a God that does more than the other gods do. And so you do have all of this high-end stuff that is there. But like the bells are probably so that you don't surprise God and don't get accidentally killed by going in there, right?
Wait, it's not monotheism at this point?
No, there's like when they get to monotheism. The Bible is basically not monotheistic, oddly enough. Like certainly not the Old Testament. I mean, as we go further in, it becomes there is only one God and other gods are not real. But really, early on, there are other gods and people are worshiping other gods. And how you interpret that is, well, they weren't real versus what have you. That's a later interpretation that we have. At this point, it's very much there are other gods and Yahweh is more powerful than those other gods. And we see remnants of that. We saw that in Job, where there was that thing in Job where they're all the gods are up there, and the greatest of the gods is our God, which is Yahweh, right? Kind of similar in some sense to the Greek pantheon, but also kind of not similar. So, yeah. Anyway, next week we will continue with the ordination of priests, which takes the whole chapter, and then what the priests do, and then eventually we'll get back into more decorations inside the tabernacle with the altar of incense, and then what you have to pay to keep it operational, and then we get that big bowl of water that I talked about. So it keeps going and going and going, and we will see that a good chunk of the book of Exodus, it turns out, is it's building the tabernacle. So, all right. Anyway, on that note, I'll see you all later, and have a good week. The funeral's at 10 if you are able to make it. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. That was good.